Hi everyone, it's Polar's Lights and Signals. Tonight I have a really cool video I want to do on a streetlight fixture that I've had for a really long time now. And I finally got around to getting it working, and I think it's to a point where I can do a little video about it now. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is another one of those really obscure fixtures that I have in my collection. This is a Pemco open bottom fixture that actually looks very similar to a couple other luminaires that you guys might know of. Well, one being that little Sleeco fixture I did, because that's an open bottom, but it's a little bit different in shape. But another commonly well-known fixture that looks just like the Westinghouse M08 or the Westinghouse M010, which I think this one looks more like an M010, but they're a little bit bigger in size. This one is pretty much the same size of a M08, but it's not an this is not an M08. This is a Pemco fixture, but the model number is not known. This fixture came from Philadelphia back when I was getting all my streetlights and crap that I got this past Christmas. I've had this fixture for a really long time, but this fixture unfortunately had one problem. And that was getting it to work. So the components in here are luckily original, but this fixture uses a capacitor, which unfortunately turned out to be a little bit tedious. When I went to wire up this fixture is a 240 volt fixture. The original cap that was in this, I guess, was really bad. Even though it didn't look like it, I plugged it in and this thing exploded. The capacitor just blew up and made a huge mess inside this fixture, and oil was everywhere. And luckily it didn't do any damage to anything, even the transformer. But this fixture has gone through a lot of crap. Now that I think about it, I spoke to the person who talked to the guy who took this down. I think this fixture was abandoned for a really long time, somewhere in downtown, and unfortunately it just had been sitting for so long at the capacitor, and it just really started to go bad. And you can tell too, because if you look at the inside, it's pretty corroded on the inside, and it's definitely been beat up quite a bit. There's some dings on it and such, but other than that, it's in fairly good condition, and hopefully I can go to restore it someday. But yeah, and I finally got around to getting a capacitor for it that'll work, because the original capacitor, I could not tell what the UF value was on it. But I did some research on the ballasting, and I finally got it to work. So anyway, continuing on from that, I know that was a lot that I just said. This fixture right here, I'm guessing would have been made probably during the late 50s into the early 60s, as Pemco tried kind of copying what other manufacturers did. Obviously that little horizontal fixture I did a video on a while ago, I said in that video that resembles an M250 from the 60s, and I will say this thing, I've seen pictures of these, and people commonly mistaken these for Westinghouse M010s, because this thing just pretty much is like a M010. It's not the same by any means. It's definitely a Pemco product, but they copied a lot of other manufacturers, and I think that's kind of why Pemco kind of vanished during the 60s. But fixtures like those Westinghouse fixtures I just mentioned, and that Sleeco fixture I just did a video on, and fixtures, and I do have one, like the M100, and actually this is a more recognizable fixture as well. Fixtures like that were very common back in the early 1960s, as they were very cheap in design and build, and for smaller towns that just needed little amounts of lights, these fixtures were designed to be low budget, easy maintenance fixtures for small towns. So, that didn't have a lot of money back then, because something I've learned just recently is that there were actually still a lot of towns during the 1960s that didn't even have streetlights. And funny enough, actually, there are still little towns to this day that don't have street lighting. And it's because, it has to do with the economy and money. But back then, yeah, there were still a lot of towns that couldn't afford street lighting, and this was the cheap option at the time. And it was directly aimed for small towns, even though I'm guessing this thing was in downtown Philly. Well, I will say, and as cheaply made as this thing was, it definitely didn't really seem to survive too much in Philadelphia, and that kind of brings me nicely to my next point here. Going on into the design, overall design of the fixture and how it looks, I will say I do like the shape of it. It's very simplistic and it does look kind of pleasing. I do like the pressed reflector on the front that is kind of brighter and stands out more than the back side that is completely cast aluminum. This is kind of like a power pack type fixture a little bit if you think about it. This is a completely cast aluminum back here, and like I said, this is just a pressed aluminum reflector, and there's no glassware. It's just kind of like almost like a cutoff fixture too, but like I said, very cheap design. Since this is just pressed aluminum and it's kind of just not really covered up by another shell, you can see that it has experienced some pings in it, and pings like this one right here, and there might be a couple more. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3 pings like that are examples of people shooting at these fixtures. And I will say these types of fixtures, just even like, nowadays with some of the ones that are just kind of still hanging on, they're not very common. These types of fixtures are really rare, and I think it's because of the cheap build. I will say, even though this is a low budget fixture, when I put my hands on it and I kind of feel it, maybe the reflector's a little thin, but compared to the reflectors they make nowadays, it's finished off well. It feels pretty solid for the most part. So it's definitely not really like cheap. And same with the cast on the back. The cast does feel pretty good for the most part. I think this may or may not have been painted at one time. I can't really tell, but you can see there's some weird discoloration on the bottom, but this is made very nicely. It doesn't feel unfinished or anything. It does feel high quality, but just because something is low budget doesn't mean it's low quality. They just kind of did the bare minimum for this fixture without taking cheap alternatives, I guess you could say. So yeah, overall it's pretty nice, but I think for small towns, this fixture definitely is more suitable. This fixture really luckily didn't get anything, get any more damage than it already has, but fixtures like these being used in the city where there's a lot of crime and stuff, something like this could easily get ripped off. And I will say this is loose, and the reason why is because I'm actually missing a plate here that is supposed to hold that down. So I actually have a couple bolts here, like these actually don't hold it down. These are supposed to hold the plate, which you can kind of see where it would have been, and it's not holding it. So yeah, this fixture is definitely not a fixture that you want to throw stuff at. It'll break very easily. But for a small town where there's not a lot of traffic and not violent people, this fixture I think is pretty suitable for that. And you could use it for something like a yard light maybe, or a private light for your property. I think it's good for something like that, but definitely not for the big city where there's a lot of a lot of crap going on. So yeah. There's not really a lot to talk about on the outside other than what I just mentioned. It is pretty plain out here, but I will go ahead and go up here and show you guys the photocell socket real quick. Unfortunately, with this fixture having issues being in service, the photocell socket is not original. Go ahead and put that aside. We've seen that before, so I won't talk about that again. So this right here is a General Electric, really old General Electric photocell socket that I actually salvaged from another fixture. So this isn't original. However, it will operate like how the original photocell originally adjusted. So all you gotta do is loosen up these two screws, and there's a spin plate under here. And then you obviously wanna spin it around, get your arrow facing north, and then once you got that turned, you just screw the screws back down and you're ready to go. It's all tight, and you can put the photocell back on. Now, of course, with this being a Pemco fixture, this would have had a Pemco photocell socket, and I do still have the parts and remains of the photocell socket, but I don't think you guys want to see it. They burned up, I guess, when they were in service. The photocell socket pretty much fell apart, sadly, and it sucks because getting Pemco photocell sockets is not easy, as Pemco's products are quite rare. So yeah. Anyway, to get inside this fixture, you have to, it's pretty much like the M08. It's you open it up on the top with just this one screw right here. So let me go ahead and get a screwdriver, and I can kind of show you guys how to take it off. Alright, so I got my really nice long screwdriver here. So like I said, there's just one screw right here, and it's pretty simple. So all you gotta do is undo it, obviously. So we're gonna screw it a little bit. This one had to be replaced as well. It's a screw stripped. So yeah, so you got a screw here, and then it pretty much just lifts right up and off. So kind of like this. You can see the components on the inside. So the photocell is attached to the socket terminal, so the best thing you can actually do is just kind of set it down like that. Just kind of let it hang. So yeah, I'm going to put that back there, and now we can go ahead and look at the insides. Alright, so this will be kind of an interesting shot because I've never ever done something like this before where I'm showing the top section of the fixture to show the components. So yeah, it'll be kind of cool. So right here, unfortunately you can see another issue. The screw on this stripped, so that I have to try to extract, but for now I can actually still hook it on to the arm. You can see two clips right here, and you got two nice stainless steel bolts, which unfortunately will shear off. They're corroded, so yeah, not really the best thing in the world. However, they are in pretty good shape, and they do feel very nice. And these clips are stainless steel as well, and they're really, really thick. And what's cool too is if you're putting this on a smaller arm, you can see I flipped this one so that this will clip downward, and it'll hold on to a smaller arm. But of course, since I'm missing one clip, I've kind of had to jury rig it a little bit, but not too bad. It's pretty nice, and I do like it. Up here, you can see the socket terminal. This is not original, obviously, as you can see. But one thing Pemco did, and you might think this looks kind of wrong, well, Pemco used traffic light style terminal blocks for some reason in their fixtures. My Pemco fish head, which hopefully I can do a review on someday, because that fixture also is still in the works, has this type of socket terminal as well. Although that one's not burned up. I don't know what happened to this fixture when it was in service, but the socket terminal burned up, the capacitor was just obviously fried, and of course exploded, like I said, when I plugged it in, and the photocell was fried. I don't know why any of that stuff went bad. Luckily, like I said, the transformer didn't go bad, and we'll look at that in just a moment here, but yeah, you can see, though, this is pretty much what they used to, connect the wiring to the line, our lines here. And like I said, this is a 240 volt assembly. You guys might be a little confused as to why there's a capacitor in here, and I was at first too. But when it comes to high reactance ballast, usually the transformers have enough coils on the core to put out the correct voltage to help the lamp get to full brightness and run correctly. But as for this transformer, it unfortunately only puts out probably like 90% of the voltage necessary for the lamp to run. So if you were to wire this without the capacitor, the lamp is going to flicker a little bit. It's going to cycle. So there's a capacitor in here to accommodate for the rest of the voltage necessary, which is going to help that lamp run perfectly fine. Of course, like I said, the capacitor in here was fried and exploded. So this capacitor is obviously not original. This capacitor I actually salvaged out of another fixture. This came out of my Spalding Metropolitan. Funny enough, even though I said those capacitors were bad, this capacitor really isn't bad. This still tests fine, and I've ran it in here and it works. So for now, I'm going to keep it, but it's just a 3.85 UF, which pretty much helps to accommodate for the rest of the necessary voltage. But yeah, and then you can see with how this terminal block is mounted, it's just screwed directly down to this really big plate here. And there's one more little screw kind of in the middle here, but that plate you can see kind of helps to house the capacitor here. So it's kind of nice. They got it really nice and compact here. And like I said, with the original terminal block, it would have been like this. So you got all these spade terminals here and stuff, and you got a lot of wires that connect to it and kind of splice, of course. So yeah, right here is the wire that goes down to the photocell side. Of course, like I said, this is 240, so you got that, and you got some power coming out. And then obviously it's this white one in this case. The white one goes to this terminal and then splices to one side. I'm going to the lamp and capacitor, and then of course with this side you got the wires going to the transformer and then coming down to the cap and obviously up into the other side of the lamp. So that is how you get your 240 in this fixture. And of course with the photocell socket at the time, photocell sockets didn't have the varying voltage ranges they could be applied to, so you had to have a neutral. And the middle terminal here, you can see that's actually the red wire in this case. This is where your neutral wire would go, but I have that I have a shorting cap, like I said, I'll be using, so we don't have to worry about a neutral here. Just we need two 120s going into each side. So yeah, and moving up to the transformer here, you can see that really nice choke coil ballast here that we got. It's really, really nice and really high quality. They got it kind of installed weird though. They got these weird plates that stick up, and you got these little things here that you can see just kind of screw down and just kind of hold it in place. It's really strange. I don't know why they did it that way. I'll try to go on the other side here because there is some lettering and stuff on here. You might not be able to see it too well, obviously, because it's tucked down in there, but if I zoom carefully, you can faintly see right there it says Pemco, and then there's some other lettering down there. GE's logo is actually in this fixture as well. It's hidden under that one wire, but again, that might kind of confuse you guys. Well, is this a GE fixture? No. So I'm guessing GE made ballast for Pemco. And that is a pretty commonly done thing, especially nowadays. American Electric partnered with Advanced to make a ballast for their fixtures. So you got American Electric Advanced ballasts in those new fixtures. So this is kind of like that. This is a Pemco GE ballast designed specifically for this fixture. So yeah, pretty nice. I don't know why they didn't just use a regular choke coil ballast. Maybe this fixture is just a little bit older. I know a lot of the early reactor technology from the late 50s required a capacitor still. I guess, you know, obviously this was before they fully improved it, but yeah. So pretty nice. And then last but not least, we have the light socket here, which screws in. And I don't think there really is any room for adjustment on this. I think that's actually the only spot it could stay in. So yeah, not anything you can do there, but yeah, and that's pretty much the inside of this fixture. So yeah, and there's nothing else really to show now, so I guess I should put that thing back on, screw it down, and we can watch this thing warm up. Let me go ahead, zoom in a little bit. Oh yes, look at the fixture. It's super nice. So let me go ahead and shut some lights off here so we can get started. Yeah. Alrighty everyone, this is my late 50s and or early 60s Pemco open bottom fixture. That is 175 watts mercury vapor in 1, 2, 3. Ooh. I really do love the sound of this thing. It has a really nice little hum to it that doesn't really sound like the normal humming sounds you hear from most other fixtures, so pretty cool. And yeah, let's go ahead and watch it warm up. Alrighty, so the fixture is at full brightness. Now I don't really think that took very long to get bright, but it looks super beautiful. Unfortunately, since it's a clear lamp, I really can't look at it. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at it. Wow. It's kind of cool having this little arm up now because I can review these open bottom fixtures. You can see the really nice lamp in here. Sounds like we got a little bit of vibration spreading around the fixture there. That's kind of what that noise is. You're starting to hear, there we go. Hear how that vibration's kind of wobbly? You're actually hearing the cycles from the transformer. So the vibration's kind of going in waves, so really neat actually. Yeah, so wow, look at that. That's a cool shot, I like that. You can see the backside here again. Really nice. Go into the front. Whew, I love that. See the front section of it here. Kind of go under it a little bit too. do that. Wow. Really, really nice. You can see again the top part. And we got the photocell. Again, there's not really much, but really cool. Really, really awesome. Woo, look at the arc tube. You can see all that heat. That is kind of an, not really a heavily used lamp, but yeah. Alrighty, so that was my open bottom Pemco fixture from the late 50s and or 60s. So yeah, that's there wasn't really very much to show here, but these fixtures are extremely rare, and I'm glad I was able to do a video on it. I do really like this fixture. Pemco is definitely one of my favorite brands right now, just because their stuff is so stinking hard to find. So I'm happy to have this fixture, at least for the most part, in good enough condition for what it is, I guess. And I'm very happy to keep my collection. Of course, someday when I get some more space, I can go through and actually, restore this fixture and get it really nice and clean and new looking, and hopefully get the wiring inside looking a lot more original as well, so I can preserve it. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. And if you guys know where any of these fixtures are, please feel free to share that information. Go take photos and share the locations if anyone knows where any of these are. And I say that obviously because I want to try to hopefully encourage people to save more of these if they can, because these are very special, very cool, and very, very rare. But yep, anyway, glad I was able to share this with you guys tonight, and hope you guys have a good night. Bye-bye.